I sat in the back of the classroom, hands folded, quietly watching the walls. Still smelled like chalk and hope. Nothing much had changed since I retired. Same faded posters. Same buzzing fluorescent lights. Same air of quiet curiosity from young minds. But today, it wasn't nostalgia that tightened my chest. It was Lena. She stood up slowly, tiny fingers clutching the worn paperback like it was her only shield. Her voice was soft, but it held rhythm, a southern melody shaped by generations. In the beginning, God see our... Mr. Waller interrupted with a sharp snap of his fingers. Excuse me? He said, tilting his head like he didn't just hear her. Say that again? Lena looked up, confused. In the beginning. It's in the beginning. Not da? He stretched the word mockingly. It's ask, not AKS, Miss Lena. You're not at a cookout. A few students giggled, others stared at their desks. Faces frozen. Lena's eyes darted around the room like she was searching for air. My stomach sank. I'm sorry, she whispered. Mr. Waller wasn't done. He chuckled under his breath and waved a hand. We use proper English in this classroom. You'll thank me one day. Lena sat down slowly, shrinking like a flame under wind. I couldn't stay silent when the bell rang. I stood. Mr. Waller, I said calmly, could I speak with you a moment? He looked surprised, even nervous. Of course, Mr. Fields. We stepped into the hallway. The walls felt closer out here, like they were listening. I couldn't help but notice your correction, I said. His smile was tight. Ah, yes, we're trying to prepare these kids for the real world. No one hires someone who can't speak properly. She was reading scripture, not a job application. I wasn't mocking her. I was helping her. Helping her? I repeated, eyebrows raised. By embarrassing her in front of her peers? He folded his arms. That generation needs thick skin. No, I said, voice firmer now. What they need is dignity, he scoffed. We can't coddle them. They have to compete, survive. And what exactly do you think survival looks like? When you chip away at who they are to make them more acceptable to you? I'm teaching professionalism. You're teaching shame. His eyes narrowed. So what? We just let them speak broken English forever? She wasn't broken, I said. She was herself. He didn't respond. I continued. You didn't correct her because she was wrong. You corrected her because she sounded black, and you didn't like that. His jaw clenched. Are you accusing me of racism? I'm pointing out that a grown man with a degree in authority decided that a 10-year-old's voice didn't fit his standard, and instead of lifting her, he crushed her. He took a step back. I think we're done here. No. I said, we're not. He blinked. I've spent my life walking these halls, I said, and I've heard accents from the deep south, the Bronx, the islands, everywhere, and you know what they all had in common. They carried stories, generations' pride. You call it improper, I call it heritage. He looked down the hallway like he needed an exit. I came here today to give a speech about resilience. I told him, but I think the real lesson is in what just happened. Lena didn't need your shame. She needed your respect. She needs to be prepared for a world that won't care. He muttered, maybe, I said. But the world changes when we care inside these walls. That's what education is, and maybe that's what you forgot. He didn't answer. I walked back into the classroom. Lena was still at her desk, shoulders low, eyes on her hands. Lena, I said gently. She looked up. You read beautifully, I told her. Her lips trembled. He said I talk wrong. No. Sweetheart, he heard you wrong? She blinked fast. I sat on the edge of her desk. You know, I was told the same thing when I was your age. They said I'd never make it unless I fixed how I spoke. So I tried. I really did, but every time I changed my voice to make someone else comfortable, I lost a piece of myself. She stayed quiet, but her eyes stayed on mine. But then I realized something. I said, power doesn't come from sounding like everyone else. It comes from knowing who you are and speaking anyway. Her mouth opened slightly. Even if they laugh? Especially then, she nodded slowly. Your voice matters. Lena, don't let anyone tell you it doesn't. A tear slipped down her cheek. Thank you, she whispered. I stood up and turned to the class. And let me say this to all of you. There will be people in this world who try to shrink you, shape you, silence you, but every one of you has a story, and no one gets to rewrite it but you. Silence filled the room. Heavy and holy, as I walked toward the door, I saw Mr. Waller, standing just outside, arms folded, eyes lowered. He didn't speak. Good, let silence teach him what his words never could. I stood just outside the classroom door, feeling the silence pressing against the walls. Lena was beside me, her hands trembling at her sides. "You okay?" I asked gently. She gave me a quick nod, then a small, scared smile. Principal Green leaned in. "It's your call, Mr. Fields. I'll support whatever you decide." I inhaled slowly, then opened the door. Every eye in the room turned to me. The air shifted, heavy. "Waiting, I'd like to say something," I said, voice steady. "Before I go." No one objected. Even Mr. Waller sat stiffly, arms crossed, face unreadable. I walked to the front of the class, Lena trailing behind me like a shadow, reluctant to touch. Light-eyed turned to face them all, some curious, some tense, a few ashamed. Language has power. I began, but so does the voice behind it. I looked at Lena. Would you be willing to read that paragraph again?" Her eyes widened. "Right now?" I nodded. "Only if you feel safe to do so." She bit her lip, glanced around. The same students who had laughed before were watching her now with quiet confusion. Lena stepped forward, her hands shook, but her voice didn't break. This paragraph is from page 47. She said, "It talks about the importance of community and rebuilding after hardship." Then she read word by word. Her accent was there, thick, beautiful, unpolished, but her meaning rang clear. Her tone was slow, deliberate, respectful. When she finished, no one moved. I turned back to the class. Did everyone understand what she read? Several nodded, a few murmured yes. One boy in the back raised his hand and said, "Yeah, it was clear." "Then the problem," I said, letting my words drop like a stone into still water, "isn't clarity, it's prejudice dressed up as correction." Murmurs rippled. I turned to Mr. Waller. "Can I ask you something?" His jaw tightened. "Go ahead. Did anyone ever shame the way you spoke growing up?" He blinked. "What?" "Your speech, your tone, your pronunciation. Did anyone ever make you feel small because of how your voice sounded?" He hesitated, then said flatly, "No, exactly." I nodded. "That's privilege." A gasp came from a girl in the front row. Someone whispered. "Damn," I kept going. "Privilege isn't just about money or skin tone sometimes. It's the freedom to speak without fear, to not be ridiculed for where you came from or how you say your R's." A hand shot up. A boy with curly hair asked, "But isn't it important to speak properly?" "Absolutely," I said. "But what's proper? Who decides that? And why is proper always measured by proximity to whiteness?" The room went still again. I softened my tone. "Look, I'm not saying grammar isn't important, but correcting someone's grammar without honoring their struggle? That's not education, that's erased." Mr. Waller spoke then, low and sharp. "Are you accusing me of racism?" I looked him in the eye. "I'm inviting you to listen." He leaned back, face flushed. I turned to the class. "You're all smart, you're the future, and you're watching how people treat each other right now." I glanced at Lena, who stood taller now, her shoulders unshrinking. "Correct someone's grammar if you must," I said slowly, "but never crush their spirit, because long after the sentence is fixed the damage might not be." The bell rang, but no one moved. No one spoke, not even Mr. Waller. Principal Green stepped forward, her voice soft. "Thank you, Mr. Fields." That was powerful. Then she turned to Lena. "And you," she said, "are brave. Your voice belongs here." Lena smiled, really smiled, and for the first time, I saw her stand in her own story, not as a punchline, not as a mistake, but as a girl finally heard.